Welcome to Energy Tech Talks, our new webinar series. And my name is Erik Nijveld, CEO and co-founder of technologycatalog.com. Today's webinar is delivered jointly with Tom Ralston, Business Development Manager of MySep. And I'll hand over to Tom in a couple of minutes. What we're going to do is I'll start with a couple of introductory slides. I'll then hand over to Tom, who will give a presentation about high-value technologies of MySep. From there, we go into Q&A, and the remaining part of the 1-hour webinar, I'll do, giving you a demo of the platform, showing you some of the latest features. If you have any questions at any moment in time, please type them in the Q&A box, and we'll go through them following Tom's presentation. And if there's some specific questions about the platform, I'll handle them at the end. Let me share my screen and show you a couple of slides. So you should all be able to see the screen. And this page indeed shows the webinar of today. I noticed that quite a number of people that registered are not yet registered users of technologycatalog.com. If you're not yet familiar with the platform, I would certainly recommend you to have a look. It's easy. Just type in technologycatalog.com in the bar on the internet, and you go straight to the platform. As an individual user, you can create a free account. With such free account, you have limited access, but we're also happy to give companies a free trial. And the moment you start using the platform, you'll also see how easy it is to use the platform to find, select, and deploy the right technologies. By now, we have users from all over the globe, actually over 10,000 individual users. And companies that have a subscription with us are also based in different parts of the world. And you see a selection of our customers shown with the logos at the bottom of this slide. In the past months, the content on the platform has grown very rapidly. We're actually approaching 2,000. It's almost a vertical line up in the year to date. And it's our clear ambition that in a couple of years from now, any technology of relevance to the energy industry and the energy transition can be found on the platform. And hand in hand with that, we'll continue to enhance the functionality such that it continues to be very easy to find and select the right technologies for your business. And the order in which we add technologies to the platform is driven by the challenges of our customers. You see some of the challenges here on this slide. You can actually also see them by going to technologycatalog.com and then click on challenges in the menu bar at the top. The moment you click on the challenge, you can see the details and you can respond by just following the steps that you see the moment you have clicked on a challenge. We deliver this as a service to our customers. There's no commission the moment as a supplier you submit solutions. And the number of challenges, it's growing rapidly, and you immediately get notified the moment a new challenge appears, which is in your area of interest and in your area of expertise. We also regularly highlight technologies and put them in the spotlight. Here you see a selection of technologies that were featured as Tech in the Spotlight in August and in September. The moment those are placed on social media, they get a large number of impressions and many clicks as a result. So it's a great way to get visibility and attract people to your page on the platform and highlight your solutions. Actually, looking at this overview, and maybe a little bit small, you also see the two MySep solutions. And we're going to dive into the MySep solutions now. And I would, from here, like to hand over to Tom, give him the floor, and give a presentation about the MySep solutions.
It's my pleasure to introduce MySep and our software products today. Let me begin by outlining what I'm going to try and cover. So here's a little outline. A bit about who we are and where we're based. I'll talk about the basis of our business in brief, and I hope that'll be quite clear to you. And then I'll talk about our software products. Following that, I'll tell you about our customer base. And I'll wind up with talking about the value that we bring and delving into that in somewhat detail. So one of the things we need to talk about is really what's the problem with separators? They've been around for a long time. They're ubiquitous across the industry. What's the problem with them? And so we'll dive into that a little bit. So who are we? We're a specialist process engineering software company. We serve the oil and gas industry predominantly. The company was founded in 2013 as a spin-off from a specialist separations consultancy called Cranji Solutions. So it was spun out of Cranji Solutions by the owners. The headquarters and the main development center for our software is in Singapore, hence the picture in the top right. And what I've called our operations center is in Arnhem in the Netherlands. We have something around about 12 staff. There's some people that overlap with some other activities. And we're clustered somewhat in APAC, around the Singapore office in Europe. We've also got one of the team in the United States. Our customer base is very global. And later in the presentation, I'm sure you get a flavor of that. So what's the business about? We help oil and gas operators and their supply chain to optimize processes for separation constraints. The vast majority of chemical engineering processes, oil and gas processes, will involve phase separation at some point. So the technology we're involved in is very ubiquitous to the processes that are used in the industry. But what's the issue? And let me dive into that a little bit. So maybe the best way is to illustrate with an example. Let's consider a first stage production separator on an oil and gas asset. It might be on land or on an offshore platform or an FPSO. Traditionally, these are designed on the basis of some simple criteria, such as fluid residence times, nozzle momentums, K values. The key production task for the separator is really to prepare the hydrocarbons for efficient export from the facility. So it needs to separate the gas from the liquids and separate the oil from the water. Sometimes for that, we might need a number of stages. But the kicker is that when we bring our fluids in and we try to separate the gas from the liquids, the oil from the water from the oil, that it's very challenging to do this with 100% efficiency. And so we get some carryover of liquids with the gas, some carryover of water with oil, and oil with water. And dealing with that can be an expensive issue. So carryover is really the problem, and that's the raison d'etre for our software products, really, the reason we exist. So what do we bring? Well, in MySep, we're really unique in commercial software in analyzing, in particular, what's coming into the separator and starting from that point, predicting, for example, if we're thinking about gas liquid separation, predicting the mist fraction and the droplet size distribution of the mist coming in, but we also predict the droplet size distribution of the dispersed phase liquid that might be carried by the continuous phase liquid coming into the vessel. So we start by predicting things at inlet in the inlet pipework, and then we can look at the analysis of the separator in a rigorous way. So we'll move on to modeling the inlet section. Very often, these don't contribute significantly to mist separation, for example. Then we'll look at the gravity section and its efficiency at separating the droplets. And then we'll move finally to the demisting equipment, and there might be a combination of equipment there that prepares the gas leaving the vessel and eliminates as much mist as we require. The products we use to do this analysis very much follow an analogous technique to deal with liquid-liquid separation to that I've described for the gas liquid. So the MySep products, the very first product which Cranji vested in MySep Pte Limited when it was incorporated in 2013 was the MySep Studio product. It wasn't called that at that stage, but we renamed it a few years ago. The program allows customers to design new separators and to rate or simulate the performance in detail of existing separators. With MySep Studio, we can define the detailed configuration of existing separators, including their internal devices, and we can design, if we choose, greenfield separators designs for our processes. Key to the efficiency of designing or modeling is the links we provide to the leading process simulators like HYSYS, Symmetry, Unisim, and so on. These leading simulators that are used ubiquitously throughout the industry to design processes and to optimize their operations. We can model the performance in a very detailed way and predict the carryover of liquid with gas and the carryover of the dispersed phase liquid with the continuous phase. We can also push a snapshot of the carryover results back into the simulation, but that's only a snapshot in time. If the process was to change, then simulation might be updated, and that would very quickly become out of date. So that leads me to our second product that was released somewhat later, and that's the MySep Engine product. And MySep Engine was designed to embed directly into these process simulators that are used widely throughout the industry to represent how processes behave or to design processes in the first place. And MySep Engine allows our incremental modeling that I described earlier for Studio. It allows that incremental modeling to be embedded directly into the process simulations. And that means that the influence of the carryover from an individual separator on downstream equipment can be properly modeled. So we can see the impact of any carryover on, for example, further separation stages, or on, say, a glycol contactor for dehumidification, or an amine contactor for acid gas removal, or more commonly these days for CO2 capture, or multi-stage compression for gas reinjection or gas export. So let me move on to our customer base. Let's think about the verticals first of all. So we serve the upstream, the initial production of oil from fields. We serve midstream, including we've got a very strong presence across the LNG operators and also LNG licensors. And then through to downstream, into refining and petrochemicals. So we're present across these verticals. And then thinking about the sectors within the industry, we have a lot of leading customers and operations, including many of the leading international operators that you'd recognize there, like ExxonMobil, BP, Chevron, and Total Energies, and so on. We also serve the engineering contractors who design plants, who undertake upgrade studies for the operators in the industry. And we have a strong presence, you'll notice, across the specialist FPSO designers and operators for the industry. We have one or two process licensors also using our software. And the final segment that we serve are the separation equipment suppliers, with the leading international suppliers being represented as well, like Technip FMC. So let's talk now about the value we bring. First of all, I'll say a little bit about project execution, and then I'll move on later to talk about operations. So lots of benefits to project execution, notably across the project life cycle, from conceptual design through FEED, detailed design, procurement, construction, commissioning, and operations. If MySep good design practice is adopted, the performance of separation equipment is secure, is really assured for the end user. So that's very important to them. But in terms of executing the project, what we typically see is an enhanced project workflow that shortens the project time scales and reduces overall project costs. So some of the clear drivers for this are the integrations with process simulation, the efficiency of our software itself, very easy to use and easy for process engineers to learn, and the comprehensive calculations that cover a wide range of concerns, such as drainage inside separators or motion of separators on FPSOs. So we cover a comprehensive range, and I could delineate a lot of these benefits across the process departments in EPCs, the mechanical departments, the procurement departments. There are savings across all of them that I could dwell on. But maybe some of the more important and perhaps current issues are around data management. For these big operators and big engineering companies, really managing all of the data that's vital to the ultimate operation of the facilities is a very challenging thing. And we bring in our expertise a single source of truth that helps break down departmental silos and makes the key information available across departments. So we provide a common media really with our data files and our deliverables, common media for mechanical and process departments, for the end user client, and for the engineering company delivering the projects, something that's that makes it very easy to manage all of the information around separation. We really provide a digital twin of the separators, and that can be part of the overall project delivery, with a digital library represented by our software case files, which would handle all the key process characteristics of separator vessels that can ultimately be delivered by an EPC onto the end user company. And some of our companies that have been using us for a long time have now backtracked and built digital representations, digital twins of their separators on major facilities, or indeed in some cases a whole basin. We've got one client who's made a library of all the separators across their Gulf of Mexico basin operations, with multiple facilities involved. So let me talk then, this segues nicely into the use of process digital twins and the way we help in optimizing operations with digital twins. So moving on to the optimizing operations, it's useful to maybe consider an example. So I'll illustrate with a facility we looked at. It's the topsides process on an offshore platform. The platform produces 74,000 barrels a day of oil. when we initially looked at it, and 79 million standard cubic feet per day of gas. At the time we studied this, the production revenue was about $6.5 million per day. And the way that we could understand the operations was to build a process digital twin inside a simulator. This could be the Aspen HYSYS simulator or the Aviva Pro 2 simulator or the other simulators that I mentioned. Putting that together to form a digital twin is modeling the process and perhaps bringing in online data from the DCS systems on the facilities themselves, or from a large comprehensive data historian that might cover all the facilities within an enterprise. The digital twin could be dynamic, steady state. It could be offline. More typically, they're offline or run intermittently, or it could be online and influencing control actions directly. So to make that digital twin really rigorous for separation, our customers embed MySep engine models of the separators within the process simulation. So we have a detailed representation of each separator's full geometry and the process separation internals that are present in those separators. That would all be represented and deployed with MySep engine embedded in the digital twin process simulation. The models themselves are prepared initially in our MySep Studio software that I described earlier, and we can use this digital twin to understand the existing constraints. So looking at this process, we're bringing in the well fluids to a first stage separator. We've got 2 compression trains, but we've built out only one of the 2 compression trains, as they're identical. And then in this particular facility, we have turbo expansion and low temperature separation, separating the LNGs from the gas stream to control the hydrocarbon dew point of the export gas, so that we don't have any potential issues with hydrate formation in the export pipeline. So that's a very typical range of operations. So in fact, the hydrocarbon dew point could be the constraint. If we've got NGLs being carried over, that would raise the hydrocarbon dew point and limit how much production we could have of oil as well as gas. So our digital twin could reveal why we're at we're constrained to that operation, and then we could look at upgrading some of the separators, or perhaps all of the separators, to see how they could operate at higher throughput conditions with less carryover. So we might start by looking at the first stage separator on our process, this one here, and we might start by taking out any undesirable inlet devices and replacing with better types of inlet devices. We might then look at replacing lower capacity demisting equipment, such as vane packs, with higher performance cyclonic demisting devices. We might augment that by adding agglomeration upstream of the demisting. So that's a typical way we might look at upgrading, and we do that in the MySep Studio environment, and then push that back into the overall simulation that we're using, that we're deploying with MySep engine. So that's the kind of workflow we'd have for each of the separators, and we might upgrade all of them. In this instance, I'm going to illustrate upgrading all of them with higher performance internal devices, including the turbo expander inlet separator there, and finally the low temperature separator upstream of the export gas compressor. So looking at upgrading all of those in that particular process I've introduced to you, we started with this level of production and operating revenue, and the digital twin could show that we could operate at higher throughput conditions, producing more oil, 82,000 barrels a day versus 74, 88 million standard cubic feet per day of gas versus 79, with a higher operating revenue that would amount to over $300 million a year. So we could look at the downtime we'd have to retrofit and the cost of the internals, which would be relatively modest in these terms. And our digital twin could show to us that it would be cost effective to upgrade the equipment. We could produce more and operate with higher revenue and profitability. So that's really the kind of benefit we can bring to our customers who are increasingly using these digital twins to do studies such as this. There are other digital twin examples. You can see them on our website. Here's a link which we'll share with the presentation. I'll share that with Erik and his team. A link to a refinery application where we jointly published in Petroleum Technology Quarterly with KBC on upgrading a fluidized catalytic cracker with improved performance achieved in the wet gas compression system that would allow more production in the FCC. So that's an example published in Petroleum Technology Quarterly. In the LNG space, we've got a case study on the website, and that link there takes you to the case study. But the case study also links you directly to a publication we made in LNG Industry Journal about a year or so ago. So let me summarize on our products. We have two. The MySep Studio product allows our customers to perfect their separator models, either as initial designs or looking at retrofit studies, such as the one I'll walk through. The MySep engine allows you to optimize the overall process with an activated digital twin and a digital twin with MySep engine embedded. And the combination of these is a very efficient way of optimizing process operations, or indeed optimizing the initial design of a process for separation constraints. So I've come to the end of what I wanted to present. I'll hand back to Erik and the team to handle some Q&A and hope that stimulated some thoughts with you, and I can enlighten you further if you have any questions. Thanks, Erik.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. And if you have any questions for Tom, please type them in the Q&A box. Before we go to the Q&A, many thanks, Tom, for this overview. And I would like to say that this is a topic close to my heart. Before starting technologycatalog.com in 2018, I worked at Shell as Global Technology Deployment Manager, leading a global task force to find and select the most relevant third-party technologies and to get those deployed and replicated. And actually a lot of impact was made over the years by optimizing the separator performance and the throughput as a result. But also quite a number of wells were closed in, not because there was a problem with the well, but really an issue at the facility side, often because of the separator. So a solution like you presented, the value is clear. And what I did experience myself over the years is that people like in roles like asset manager or operations manager are not always aware of the impact that can be made by optimizing the separator performance. Is that something you recognize, Tom?
Indeed, and we often are in discussions with customers who don't appreciate that in fact it's possible to model the behavior and therefore understand what's happening today and how it might be improved. So it's very much at the heart of the discussions we have with operating companies and also their consultants who are pulled in often to study these things. without the sort of analytical approach that we can offer with our software. So I think we're often opening people's eyes to the possibilities of bringing this kind of quantitative analysis to bear.
Yeah, excellent. Hey, multiple questions have come in. Let me start with the first one. So you mentioned that you support upstream, midstream, as well as downstream. Is the support usually done directly for the operators, or does it go through a engineering firm, or both?
It's both, I think. We have a number of engineering companies, and sometimes these EPCs are mandated by their end user clients who've already recognized the value of our software. They're mandated to use our software on studies. But yeah, both. I mean, we have major operating companies who are undertaking study work themselves in-house, or sometimes they're fielding it out to their EPCs. The frustration for us sometimes is we find EPCs want to rely on very crude in-house criteria-based analysis to try and improve things without really having the means to understand what the improved performance would be. And so it's often not a challenge with the engineering teams in EPCs, but with the budget holders and the IT procurement in those companies. But when we overcome that barrier, I think EPCs, their engineers are delighted to get their hands on a good analytical tool that's recognized across the industry.
Yeah, excellent. Another question, why should we use MySep engine and not use default separator modeling of the process simulator?
Yeah, that's a great question. Usually the default modeling of separators in a process simulation might start from the assumption of no carryover at all, so 100% efficiency. And as a crude approximation, it's possible in most of the simulators to prorate carryover to perhaps a feed flow or to a product flow in the separators. But that limits carryover to a linear relationship with the flow rates of either the feed or the product stream. But what you'll see if you do a proper analytical study with the methodologies that we're using is that carryover is often exponentially related to the flows through the separator, but also by more complex interactions, like, for example, in a horizontal separator, the influence liquid level has on the flow area for the gas inside the separator.
Yeah, thanks. The next question, where does MySep Studio vary from industry standards?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. MySep Studio itself allows you to specify the type of criteria that's commonly applied in the industry. For example, there usually be specifications on nozzle momentums on the feed stream, the rho v squared value inlet to the separator. And there, MySep has its own default criteria for quantities like that, but you can also save your own criteria and specify across a project or across an organization the in-house criteria that you want to apply for example, for rho v squared values, inlet and outlet nozzles, and some other key quantities as well, such as maximum K values.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks. The next one, so great presentation by Tom. The technology can add significant value. In the digital twin example, showing the multi-million annual added value, was the solution fully implemented? And if so, is it still performing at this level?
Yeah, great question. I'd like to say that was true. In the case I've drawn, it's drawn from a real facility, but often our operators are very sensitive about the operations on their own facilities, and publishing shortcomings is something that the industry commonly doesn't do. So in that particular example, it was hypothesized based on a real facility. But we do have operators who are currently deploying such techniques themselves. They're not sharing with us what the shortcomings were and what the results were directly. But that's something we'll continue to work on, and hopefully I'll be able to quote you a customer results directly in the future. It's something that's very much a work in progress, and we're always pursuing with our clients.
Yeah, excellent. Hey, and the next question. So what mainly distinguishes you from competing solutions, if there are any similar competing solutions out there?
Yeah, there are a lot of separator spreadsheets used across the industry, implemented in Excel with various degrees of complexity. Universally, these seldom have any means of predicting performance. At the heart of our software is a proprietary approach to modeling what's coming into the separator, really the conditioning of the fluids coming into the separator, and predicting misfractions and droplet size distributions is a proprietary approach from us. Then looking at the separation efficiency within the separator, again, we've developed our own methodology from in-house research, and we don't see really anything competing in the industry. So most of the competing approaches we see are criteria-based design methods and don't really have any predictive capability. There's nothing commercially packaged like MySep, which has a true predicted capability that is validated and widely accepted by leading operators.
Yeah, excellent, Tom. So those were the questions for now. So for those of you that haven't seen this before, you can easily access it by going to technologycatalog.com and typing those words in your browser. By now, the platform already contains over 1900 solutions, and you can access them via the menu or by typing in a keyword. But one of the key things I would like to show you, where things have really developed very quickly in the past months, is in terms of the number of challenges posted by our customers. So this is the overview that you see. You can actually see this overview even without having an account on the platform. But the moment you click on the challenge, and let's take this one from Top Sector Energie, that's an organization in the Netherlands to stimulate innovations for the energy sector. The moment I click on it, I see this challenge. It's up to the challenge owner how much detail they would like to include here. And as a technology provider or a service provider, you can respond. But at that stage, you do need to sign up or log in. But submitting the solution itself, there's no commission to it. We provide this as a service to the challenge owner. The moment I now scroll down, I can actually see an overview of solutions that have been suggested already. But in order to see that, you do need a subscription with us. And I would be more than happy to elaborate a bit further on the type of subscriptions. But in a nutshell, typically what we call our premium subscription, it gives you access to the challenges as well as all the solutions that have been proposed to others. And certainly if you're dealing with the same type of challenge, you can quickly see the type of solutions out there. So let me actually log in. I obviously already have login details, so I can proceed. And the moment I'm logged in and go back to the challenge page, and let's go to the same challenge. The moment I scroll down, I can actually see that already 12 solutions have been proposed. This challenge was only published a week ago. Typically, we see roughly between 5 and 50 solutions being proposed. It obviously depends on the type of challenge. For very specific challenges, less solutions may come in. For broader challenges, but certainly always challenges come in, and we can gather solutions very quickly, really because of the power of the global community. As indicated at the start, by now we have over 10,000 users, many suppliers, but also a large network of people that are not yet on the platform. So we use this feature also to attract content. And typically within a week, you have solutions proposed. And the moment I click on one, let's go to the one in the top left, you would then always get to see the solution in the standard template that no doubt many of you are already familiar with. If you're not yet familiar with it, I would certainly recommend you to go to the platform and have a look. Certainly at this time of the year, many companies are busy with building their technology plans. So I would like to share a couple of features that we have that can help you here. Certainly one of the features that helps are the advanced filters that we offer. Let me go to a certain category. Let's go to technologies, and for example, from here go to engineering. And from here we can, for example, click on process engineering. Actually, in this case, the MySep solutions pop up immediately. And companies that have the right subscription level with us, they also have a couple of filters, like the deployed by filter, that immediately allows you to see what has been used by other companies, and that can also be an opportunity for your company. So for example, I can click on deployed by and see, hey, that's interesting. I would actually be keen to see what Shell, what for example ExxonMobil has deployed of these solutions. And by clicking on it, I see the solutions, in this case also the solution that we spoke about in today's webinar. And again, listed in a consistent template. And here you indeed see all the deployments for the different companies. And scrolling down further, you also see a couple of reviews. And one of the things I would like to highlight as well is what we call our Insights Navigator. So any user on the platform has access to their own toolbox, the icon in the top right corner. What you then see on the left depends on and what you have access to depends on your subscription. So what you see on the left is, for example, challenges, and it's here the place where you can post your challenge and also see the solutions being proposed. Via this menu, you can also set the notifications you would like to receive and your areas of interest, such that you get the right notifications. But what you see here as well is what we call our Insights Navigator. This is a demo environment, but it's with real data. And in this demo environment, it's from the perspective of Chevron. In this case, it shows digitalization technologies on the platform, but I can also go to other areas, for example, picking maintenance. At the moment, I click on maintenance, and perhaps also going to a subset of that. Let's go to inspection. What I now see is, from the perspective of Chevron, a list of solutions that have been deployed by other companies, in this case BP, ExxonMobil, Shell, and TotalEnergies, but not yet by Chevron. So the moment you're building your technology plan, or the moment the inspection team is looking for solutions to optimize performance, this then offers very quick suggestions to say, hey, let's replicate what others have done already. and also to reflect back on the role I had before starting the company. My favorite question in those days always was, when working for Shell, asking suppliers, hey, tell me what you did for Exxon and BP, because then over 95% chance it's also of relevance to Shell. The question is very easy, but here with this platform, you have the data at your fingertips. So certainly the moment you're building a technology plan, this helps. And this is just an example. Obviously, it depends on per company, which type of companies you would like to see here. In this demo environment, there are multiple companies I can add here, as you can see here. But certainly the moment you're, for example, a small operator in the UK, it's particularly of interest to you to see what has been used by other UK operators or by others in the North Sea. If you're an operator in the Middle East, it's particularly interesting to know what others in the Middle East have done, or perhaps the IOCs active in the region. And that's the type of data we make visible here. Of course, in some areas, you may want to be the leader and deploy things that haven't been done before. But in many cases, it's certainly a good idea to follow what has been done already. And these type of insights can help you to select the right technologies and very quickly replicate what has worked for others. And the moment you then see this overview, from here you can click on a solution. Let's take this one. And from here it goes straight to the page on the platform. And always in a consistent format, such that you can very quickly see whether this solution is potentially of interest to you and your colleagues. And the moment you think, hey, this is something that my colleagues should know about, yeah, you can easily share via the platform with your colleagues. And by following the steps and an easy flow provided you via the platform, share the solution with your colleagues, in this way highlighting it to them, and then you're quickly all on the same page. Let me show one other thing that we do, which also helps at any moment in time during the year to find improvement opportunities, but certainly this time of the year to also build your technology plan for the coming year, is the relative business impact. Actually, before going to this page, let's quickly go back to this page. One of the things that we ask from suppliers to indicate as part of their page is the relative business impact. In this specific case, you see that the impact is mainly made in terms of cost reduction, production, and safety improvement. For many other technologies on the platform, you also see that CO2 impact is being made. It's up to the supplier on how to distribute 10 points. But by having only 10 points, it forces the supplier to make choices. How we then use this information is going back to the Insights Navigator and making it a little bit smaller. In this case, inspection solutions are mapped against CO2 and cost reduction. This quadrant means it makes a lot of impact on both dimensions. Here, a little bit of positive impact, but still making impact. If the team says, well, it's not so much CO2 that we're in this case mainly concerned about, it's particularly safety as well as cost, then the data set will be distributed in a different way. It's still quite an extensive set, so I can say, well, I'm particularly keen to see solutions that have been deployed by at least 5 different companies, and I can exclude the ones that have been deployed by my company already. And again, this is all in this demo environment from the perspective of Chevron. Obviously, the moment we do this for your company, it's from the perspective of your company. Here in this quadrant, you see solutions with a lot of impact in terms of cost and safety. And from here, I can access the page by clicking on the bubble. And the size of the bubble means the larger the bubble, the more companies that have deployed the solution. And here, let's click on this one, for example. It goes straight to the page again and finding the solution. So really, in a nutshell, what we do with this platform, and that we continue to enhance this with this platform. You have easy access to solutions, by now over 1900 solutions. If you can't find what you're looking for, you have the opportunity, if it's part of your subscription, to post a challenge. And we then also give you the insights to easily learn from competitors and peers with the advanced filters, and also the Insights Navigator, such that you can very quickly build your technology plan and focus on the right ones. And also, along the way, gather the information that you need to convince yourself as well as your colleagues. And that's no different from the way we get convinced in daily life. I always have two favorite examples, so apologies if you have heard that already. But one favorite example is always, actually, from my own experience as well, living in the house in which I live. I built an old house 15 years ago. At that time, I needed a contractor to repair the roof and the water piping system in the house. I didn't know a good contractor that had experience with the type of house in which I live. So what do you do? So I went to my neighbor, and the neighbor said, well, thumbs up, this is a great contractor. And that then helps you to give that contractor a call. But also big decisions in life, like where to buy a house. If you're new in a city, the moment I will move to Stavanger, let's take Stavanger as an example, knowing that there's several folks from Stavanger on the call. The moment I will move to Stavanger and multiple people tell me, hey, that's a great part of town, I can recommend it. That's something you take seriously. And the opposite is true as well. The moment you don't get these type of references, you don't feel really confident to then buy or rent a house in such a part of town. And with technology, it's the same. So with the insights that we provide, you convince yourself that this is a solution that is worth trying and worth looking into further, and convincing your colleagues. And it's the type of data that people would like to see. So this is a quick overview of some of the things that we have been working on and also keep on improving. Most of the people on the call are working for end user companies. And if you would like to make use of a trial for your company, please drop us a note. Send a message to info@technologycatalog.com. And we'll get back to you. With such a trial, you get access to the content. We also typically give you the opportunity to post one challenge, and you get access to subset of the Insights Navigator. So please drop us a line. I'll stop sharing now. I'll have a final look at the Q&A box to see if anything new has come in. So a question has come in for myself. Who from an operating company uses technologycatalog.com? Will typically be the engineering managers or procurement folks? Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it's really a variety. It's people with indeed the job title engineering manager, procurement manager, but also very often the technology manager, a technology lead, innovation manager, but also on an individual basis, many of the engineers. So it's really a broad group of people. What you typically see is that the engineers, they use the platform to find the solutions and also post challenges with specific requests for solutions that can meet their specific technical questions. And very often, the sort of people who sign, the person who signs off on it is indeed typically people with the job title engineering manager, procurement manager, innovation manager, technology manager, etc. So, but what we typically do for companies is to also structure the subscription in line with that people at different levels get access, such that it's very easy for multiple people within the company can see the solutions, can request solutions via the challenge feature, and then also easily share the solution with their colleagues. And what we typically also do as well, link it, to make it explicit also for the challenge feature. Anyone can typically post a challenge, but then the focal point needs to say, yes, this challenge can go live. So hence, before really publicly posting a challenge, we always then check with the focal point. Thanks for the question. I don't see any. Oh, I do see one other question. How often is the software updated? Is it based on versions? I think this is a question I guess it may be to both. So I can start with, and then I can hand over to you, Tom. Technologycatalog.com, yeah, it's literally updated on a continuous basis. We have a platform development team, software development team, and they continuously launch new features, whereby we listen to the needs of our customers. So we launch features in line with what features our customers are looking for. Customers on the end user side as well as the supplier side. Tom, would you also like to say a few words about?
Thanks, Erik. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
So in terms of updates with MySep software, we had a huge update last year when we moved from an old software platform for MySep Studio onto a completely new software platform with the new user interface. I was showing you some of the screens today, and that's not an event that's going to happen maybe for another decade or so, I suppose, as things develop. But we regularly have updates. So since that release of version 6 of Studio, we've had 3 updates that have come, 3 incremental updates. So we're mostly sort of bug fixes. Probably that's a bit frequent because it was a brand new release, completely re-architected from the ground up. So that's maybe a bit frequent, but probably once or twice a year there'll be an update, and there'll be major technical developments every couple of years or so.
Hey, excellent. Yeah, and it's exactly 11 o'clock here in the Netherlands. So I realized there are some more questions that were being asked, but please ask them offline to either Tom or myself. We'll share the presentation and Tom's contact details. Thank you very much, Tom, for attending. If you have any questions to us here at technologycatalog.com, or would you like to make use of this trial period and trial version that I highlighted, please contact us at info@technologycatalog.com. Many thanks for attending today, and I wish you all a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.